All right, everybody, it is the greatest day of the week this time of year and really most times a year. Appreciate you guys joining us for our Saturday special. Great slate of games today. Hope you guys had a great week. You're having a great weekend. Whether you're in the man cave watching it, you're out at a tailgate, you're in the living room, or you're doing yard work so you can watch the games to not upset your significant other. First off, great move. I'm learning. And second off, we appreciate you joining us. Before we get rolling, go ahead and hit that like and subscribe button down below. The YouTube channel is doing really well. People are finding us now, and they're liking what they're hearing. David Cohn, co-host, former Michigan quarterback, 2008 Heisman candidate, 6'7", can pick apples in a tree without using a ladder. My brother, Western
Genius.
Colorado.
Handsome.
No.
Wealthy.
Used to have a mustache.
6'3".
You wealthy?
No.
Share the wealth, man.
Yeah, man. Are you handsome and
You got
wealthy?
more money than me, man. What do you mean?
Huh?
Both y'all got more money than me.
Broke is a joke, man.
Yeah.
Well, I just bought
But look at y'all's house. We'll go down my apartment. My car got stolen. Let's see who's more wealthy.
You got that back. I borrowed
You got
that.
it back.
I
Cone
borrowed
borrowed
that
it.
to save
No, you
Blaine's
didn't.
mustache.
I wish you would have borrowed
Check
it. That'd
Twitter.
been great.
I borrowed it.
You got it back.
Quit smoking L&M cigarettes soon.
Is that what it smelled like?
Yeah.
Oh, no.
Of course.
The guy went to Burger King and Taco Bell and used my Chick-fil-A gift card.
No way. Use your Chick-fil-A. Listen,
The guy who stole
steal
your
the car.
used your Chick-fil-A
Or certain
Steal
Starbucks.
the car, but you use the Chick-fil-A gift. You
Now I
sociopath.
Went to
Now
Chick-fil-A
I'm
yesterday.
yeah.
Had $12 on it.
Now I'm upset.
Didn't have anything on it.
Here's
Now
the
I'm
thing-
upset.
Here's the thing about Chick-fil-A, though. I bet if you went and told them that happened, they'd give you another gift card because that's how they roll.
I'll go there with you. You'll be on one of those commercials, you know, where
I
they're
should.
like, Jeff was having a
Well,
bad day.
take
but
the police
Toad's
And now I
doing a
just pull up to
job."
Chick-fil-A and just look for someone trying to steal someone's car and just go out there and try to fight them. So I'm still waiting on. So I pull up to like 3 different Chick-fil-A's a day just to maybe when the action's going down.
Look.
Chick-fil-A for life. I've been trying to buy Chick-fil-A for the last 3 years, but it's harder
How-
to buy
how hard
Chick-fil-A
have you
than
been
get into
trying?
Harvard.
How hard have you been trying?
Pretty hard.
I feel like that's a situation where they come find you.
well, you can apply
Yeah.
for it. It's $10,000.
Well, I thought you had to get like a golden ticket and a chocolate bar.
That's a movie.
Oh, sorry. Sometimes I get
Yeah.
my pass crossed. You know, let's talk some football. How about that? Let's start off, before we get into what we want to do today, obviously, if you missed our show yesterday, we did Keys to Victory on all the big games, A&M, Arkansas, Florida, Tennessee. You can go through the list. They weren't just SEC, I promise you. But we want to give our 2 top teams so far. We're into week 4, which is a third of the way through the regular
Slow
season.
down.
Which upsets me in ways I can't
Slow
even
down.
begin to explain to you. It always happens like this, but our top 2 teams from each Power 5 conference. As we're kicking off really conference play, there's been some conference games. But guys, before we do that, I just want to say Brian Harsin lied to everybody about the quarterback situation. We talked about that yesterday. I thought Calzada was healthy. I thought all the quarterbacks were healthy. Turns out Zach Calzada got hurt by not playing, which is amazing. I guess him and Miles Brennan must be hanging out a lot. And then they said TJ Finley wasn't that hurt. He's going to miss the game with a shoulder, but really doesn't matter. Just throw Robbie Ashford out there, let him run around, or give Holden Gariner a chance as a freshman. He's going to be fired soon enough anyway. Maybe today if they lose to Missouri, if we're lucky. All right, so, Cone, want to start out. Let's go Pac-12.
I thought you'd start in the SEC.
No, well, that's easy. We all know that.
I have Vandy and Auburn.
In the SEC?
Yeah. Thought we'd shake things up a bit.
You're going
I'm just kidding.
Vandy?
You start with the Pac.
Okay.
Start with the Pac-10.
Pac-10, that's right, because
Pac-10.
USC
You come to
and
my house to get my wife's name right.
that's exactly right. USC and UCLA are leaving, so it is technically the Pac-10. Now, we'll see who they add or if they'll even be a conference when this all gets done. I'm going USC right now. I think you have to, but the weapons they have on the outside, I'm worried about them up front. Not so much for Pac-12 play. There's going to be some games where I think it's going to rear its ugly head, but I think they can outscore people enough in that conference. Now, if they were to go undefeated and to make the playoff, I don't think they're good enough up front to be able to withstand a 4-quarter onslaught from a Georgia, from an Alabama, from an Ohio State, and really if Clemson can figure out at quarterback and Michigan as well. We still really don't know about Michigan, but they've beaten the hell out of everybody that they've played. I think Lincoln Riley's going to get the linemen there, but with Jordan Addison, Mario Williams, Caleb Williams, Travis Dye, I mean, they've got more weapons in Ukraine right now. So I think USC, you got to put them there. And then I'm going Washington, guys.
Yeah.
I'm going to Washington. You know, I went back and forth between Washington and Oregon because watching Oregon dispatch BYU, you saw good Bo Nix. You saw good Bo Nix. You're going to get some bad Bo Nix. You'll get some good Bo Nix. It just depends on what game and who they're playing. When I look at Washington, I feel like they check every box. I think they're physical enough on both sides of the line of scrimmage. Defensive line's even better than what I thought it was going to be. Worried about the back end a little bit in Washington, but the wide receiver core is really good. Polk, McMillan, and then Penix Jr. at quarterback. Looks like the Michael Penix Jr. from 2 years ago. Kalen DeBoer, and remember, I said this before the season, because I had Washington going 7-2 in the Pac-12. Just because you coached at a place like Fresno State, that first year you get in the league, Like Gus Malzahn goes to Auburn, for example, right, as a head coach, 2013, national championship appearance. They may be able to watch film of you in other games, and there may be coaches on your staff that have coached against that coach before. But until you actually have to call a game against that person, the element of surprise is still there. So Washington, at least for right now, is striking while the iron's hot. Do I think Michigan State is a great team? No, but they're a good team, and Mel Tucker's a really good coach, in my opinion. So I like Washington there instead of Oregon. I picked Utah to win the conference at the beginning of the year. I'm just not sold on Utah in the front seven, especially missing Devin Lloyd, and I've got to see them be more explosive on offense. I like Cam Rising, but right now, where we sit, I like USC and Washington.
I agree with the USC pick. Look, Lincoln Riley's going to have that program back right in short order, I believe, and they already have the weapons to be able to, like you said, take care of conference play.
Yep.
I don't know what kind of noise they could make in the playoff, but I think that this has been the best possible start you could ask for Southern Cal. Washington could win this conference.
They could.
Washington could win this conference, but for my second pick, and I don't want to I don't know, Blaine may have Oregon over there, he may have Washington, I'm not sure what he has, but I'm not giving up on Utah.
I don't think that's, I don't think that's crazy.
Utah as my second pick. I think Cam Rising is a very good quarterback. You got to figure out a way to put the ball in the end zone against Florida on that last drive.
That was really surprising play.
One drive, very surprising play. You're playing in the swamp. First game of the year, didn't have a good game plan against Anthony Richardson. Look, I thought Utah would win that game. They didn't. That's a tough opener. I still think throughout conference play, they're going to be a problem. They get Southern Cal at home. They get Oregon State at home. I don't think they go on the road to Oregon, but they don't play Washington. So the only time they play Washington would be in the conference.
That's another reason I picked Washington, because they don't play.
But I agree with you.
Utah
Penix
or
Jr.,
USC, I don't think.
They play USC.
Washington does?
No, I'm sorry. Utah plays USC.
I was talking about, Washington. I don't think Washington plays Utah or USC.
That's a good draw.
Yeah.
That's a good draw. And Penix Jr. is spinning it. You're right.
He looks confident and healthy.
Yeah, that's the thing.
Healthy.
Like you said, 2 years ago, Indiana quarterback, not last year. Who you got?
I got Oregon.
Yeah?
I got
USC and Oregon?
Yeah, USC and Oregon. I think USC's a clear cut just because of the talent they have. But Oregon, I go back to week one in Georgia. You can't base teams off when they play Georgia. I learned that the hard way. But they look good on both lines of the scrimmage, and BYU's not a slouch,
No.
especially on defense. And they kind of did what they wanted to do at will. Dan Lanning comes in, tried to establish his identity. I mean, you're talking about new coordinators, Kenny Dillingham at Oregon.
Really his first shot calling it.
Yeah, first shot. So it's still new seeing that type of team. And I think Bo Nix is still a top-tier quarterback. He does make mistakes. You get good and bad, but I think we'll see more good than bad. And you go through their schedule, you got Washington at home and you got Utah at home. You go to Oregon State, but I think you can win that game. Then you have Arizona, UCLA, Cal. So they'll be the two biggest games are at home for Oregon, and I'm going to put my trust in Dan Lanning.
I tell you, sneaky team out of the Pac-12, Oregon State.
Oh, yeah.
Very sneaky team. Out of
Oregon State?
Oregon State is. I think you said USC goes to Oregon State? Is that what you said?
I would have to look.
Where does Oregon go?
Oregon's got Utah at home and Washington at home.
Where do they play Oregon State? In Corvallis?
At Oregon State. Last game of the season.
I think Oregon State's got USC and Oregon at home. I believe so. I need to fact check that one, the real fact check, not the people that have a narrative or agenda that make the facts fit what they want. So I like that. A little bit of diversity there. It's going to be interesting to watch this conference as we go, which you can't say about the Pac-12 a lot. Let's go Big Ten here, Coney.
Big Ten. Okay. You want to start it off?
I'll start us off here.
Huh?
Ohio State, obviously. All three of my teams are in the Big Ten East, shockingly. I got Ohio State, and then I got Penn State. You want to know why? Because I have a good idea about Penn State. Sean Clifford's been there for 23 years. I mean, hell, he could be the dean at the school right now. He's been there so long. He's been through the battles. They went and beat a Purdue team in a tough game, game one, on the road, game-winning drive. You go down and slap around a bad Auburn team with a lame duck coach, but you still went down there and won it. And when I look at Penn State, you got a good backfield. I like Lee, the weapons that they have, Singleton kid, the young kid, Clifford at quarterback again. The offensive line is a big question mark. Auburn did have some plays on the defensive line, but just over time, everybody and their brother knew the offense wasn't going to score, so the defense kind of laid down, which that's not an excuse, but they did. I look at Penn State's defense. That secondary is elite with Joey Porter Jr. and those guys over there. So that means they can stop explosive passes and make you have to try and run the ball to have success. The question for Penn State is how much success will they have running the ball? Like I said, you got good backs. If the offensive line plays well, Penn State could have a pretty good chance, in my opinion, to make some noise at the end of the season, something they haven't done in a while. Then you look at that wide receiver core. I love Parker Washington. I know Jahan Dotson's not there anymore, which I did say he was going to ball in the NFL, and he's balling right now. But I think I got Ohio State and Penn State just because I need to see Michigan play somebody, and we're not going to know about Michigan until what, week 7, David? Really? Week 6, week 7, somewhere around
Michigan State. Yeah, I mean, they have Iowa before that, but again, I mean,
well, kick a field goal and you beat them.
Well, I mean, we were saying that, or at least who was it? Big Game Boomer was saying Kinnick, Stadium is a top 5 stadium to play in. So I think Michigan does go on the road in that game. But yeah, for the Big Ten right now, I have the Buckeyes and the Wolverines almost in a dead tie right now. I have them 1 and 2. The thing for Michigan is obviously they're going to have to go on the road in the Horseshoe at the end of the season. That game will take care of itself. The intense rivalry for Penn State. To me, look, if we're saying obviously the midseason rankings right now, we're not saying who we think necessarily is going to end up winning the conference. I mean, Penn State could end up winning the Big Ten, but if we're going on just the games that have been played with the road win at Purdue and the road win at Auburn, then I'd not only put Penn State over Michigan, I'd put over the Buckeyes.
That's what I was gonna ask you, because that Notre Dame win, and again, this is right now. This is right now. I agree with you. This is just from what I've seen and what I know right now. I'm not really projecting. I'm just telling you what I've seen. That was a good clarification there. That Notre Dame win's looking worse and worse. And look, I get it's the first game. You're coming out, but I mean, Notre Dame goes home and loses to Marshall. Then you play a bad Cal team.
Yeah.
A bad Cal team, and it is a fist fight until the end. Notre Dame's just a bad football team.
Yeah, so if we're just saying resume right now, I mean, you're going to have to put Penn State at the very, very top.
Yeah.
Because that win at Purdue to open the season was very impressive. And then you go down to Auburn, to the Plains, you get a win there. So Penn State definitely has the best resume so far. But if we're inserting the eye test, then, like I've said on the show, we can talk about Michigan hasn't played anyone. But like I've said, they've had weak non-conference games before. Okay?
They
figure out a way to win
they're beating
those.
people to sleep.
Yeah. And again, to me, it's not even about the final score. People can look up and see 59-0 over UConn or 57-7 over Hawaii or whatever. To me, I'm looking at football.
Yeah.
How efficient are they in the scheming up these opponents right now on both sides of the ball, all 3 phases of the game? To be honest, I like what I'm seeing from Michigan in ways that I haven't in the past, where I've been very critical. And I'd get friends of mine, former teammates of mine, call me, and we'd beat someone like Hawaii or UConn 37-7. And they said, well, why are you upset? Because we're not playing clean football.
Yeah.
We're not playing efficient football. That's what I'm seeing from Michigan right now. I think that they're capitalizing on what really was started last year by Jim Harbaugh.
Well, when we hear the process, Blaine, and this is something, swing pass real quick. I'm open. Thank you, sir. When we talk about the process, it's really not about who you're playing. The trick to having a good football program is it's not, this week we're playing this team, so we better play good. And this week we're playing this bad team, so we don't have to play good. The trick is you focus on yourself. Mm-hmm. The name on the other jersey does not matter. The game plan will change a little bit. You'll add plays. The scheme will get adjusted to what you're going against. But the mindset of playing clean football, complementary football, offensively, defensively, on special teams, you have to get better every week. Blocking's not going to change. Tackling's not going to change. The routes may change, but throwing the ball and catching the ball and having good timing's not going to change. You can still tell a lot by not looking at the stats and the final score. I'm with you on that.
I'll give you a real-world example here real quick. My first month at Michigan, right, when I was a freshman in 06, that was Chad Henne, Jake Long, Mike Hart, Mario Manningham. I get there, and I'm thinking, I'm watching the football from the sidelines mostly, these guys.
Young guy.
I'm thinking, this is different. Like, is this what all college football is like? Because I don't know. They just went 7-5 the year before. They just lost to Nebraska in the bowl game. Like, I don't know. Like, I know it's Michigan. That's why I came here. But how good are we really? Then we go on, win the first 11 games. We're 1-2 against the Buckeyes. We go on and play in the Rose Bowl that year. That makes sense to me because we're looking really good. The next fall we come back, we have the same players. Almost everyone came back. The defense is still stacked. And to me, I'm thinking as a sophomore, this doesn't look quite the same that it did last year. But I'm observing.
Chemistry? Was it more chemistry?
Those balls that we were catching on Slogo seam were just out of reach this time. Or, there'd be a mental thing here. But we open with App State, so no big deal. We'll get it figured out, then we'll play Oregon the next week. Well, we lose to Appalachian.
Oh, yeah, Armani.
So I'm thinking in my mind, even on air in practice, you can tell the difference, right? And so that's what I'm saying right now about Michigan. But again, they're going to have to go on the road. They get Penn State at home.
Yes.
You're going to have to go on the road in the Horseshoe. So there's a lot of things to figure out.
For sure. Well, I have Michigan and Ohio State, too. I think Michigan's the best team in the Big Ten right now.
Really? Really? Why?
I just think from the eye test, I think when it comes down to it, when they play Ohio State, it's kind of some same thing that happened last year. I think they'll out-physical Ohio State.
Even on
both sides of the ball between the tackles.
In the Horseshoe after beating last year.
Yes, I do. I mean, you go back to their schedule. I mean, a lot of people talk about Michigan's schedule this year. Go back to last year. I mean, you almost lost to Rutgers in week 4. You won by 7. You didn't play anybody until Wisconsin was down, until you played Michigan State, which will somewhat be this year. You played Penn State before that.
A game you
had
lost.
that at home. So, and I think you beat Michigan State this year. And Penn State, I think Michigan's a better version of what Penn State wants to be. Both teams want to run the ball, set up play action, and play good defense. That's what Michigan wants to do. That's what Penn State wants to do. I think Michigan is a better team at that. I have Michigan, Ohio State going. I'm to be honest with you, I think Michigan might go undefeated.
Yeah, SEC, Alabama and Georgia. Everybody say aye.
Yes.
Aye.
Yep.
Real quick, Georgia to me is the best team in the SEC right now, but people that are jumping off the Alabama bandwagon, you need to stop. They got players coming back, JoJo Earl, Tyler Harrell, who's going to be their deep vertical threat from Louisville. We know they're good up front, and that staff is going to use that close win to their advantage. It seems the story of Alabama has been somewhat similar over the past couple of years. We're used to seeing Alabama just absolutely thrash everybody that gets put in front of them. They are the standard. Nick Saban has the blueprint. We've seen it bleed through with Kirby Smart and others. I would not sleep on Alabama. I can't believe those words have to come out of my mouth. I know there's very rare times where you can punch up at them, and this is one of them with the way they played Texas. But Bama has a way with Nick Saban of punching back twice as hard, and they have a Heisman winner at quarterback and the best defensive player in the country in Will Anderson. So I would be careful before I jumped off that train.
I mean, if you're sleeping on Bama, wake up.
Yeah.
Like,
hello, wake up.
Don't ever sleep on Alabama. The only way you could sleep on Alabama is comparing them to Georgia. That'd be the only way. I mean, I think they have a lot better chance of slipping up the SEC than Georgia does. I got A&M. You never know with the Iron Bowl, which you kind of know in the Iron Bowl. But still, it's going to be Bama. It's a Nick Saban coach team. They'll be there at the end of the day.
Yeah, you know that. All right, let's get to the Big 12. This was the hardest one for me. It got to the point where I'm looking at schedules. That's what I got to the point. Oklahoma, I picked them to win it. I think that their only loss is going to be at Iowa State in Ames. We talked about playing somewhere where they grow corn and playing them probably at night. Scary as hell. Don't trust it. Even if it's during the day, deep down, I don't trust it. Best thing to come out of a cornfield, outside of cream corn, which doesn't technically come out of the cornfield, you got to make it, is the guys from Field of Dreams. Give me Oklahoma, and then you know what? Give me Baylor. Give me Baylor, and here is why. I know they lost against BYU. BYU's a good football team. I know BYU just got trounced by Oregon, but I think BYU is a little beat up. They've played some games already. They got more to go. You got Arkansas at home. BYU did not schedule softly, and hats off to them. But when I look at Baylor, I still like Blake Shapen a lot. I still like him a lot. They run the ball a ton. I get it. I do think they need to open it up a little bit more for Shapen. I get what Aranda One Punch Man's identity is. He's going to play solid defense. They're going to run the ball, open you up through the air, off play action like Blaine was talking about with another team, and then hit you in the intermediate game and try and get in 3rd and 2. But I look at that team, and I love the physicality still. They're still so physical.
Yeah.
I look at Oklahoma State's schedule and Baylor's schedule. Those were the two teams I was really looking at, because while I like Texas, they got a couple tough ones on the road. I don't think they beat Oklahoma in the Red River Shootout. I'm not calling it the Red River rivalry. I'm sorry, it's the Red River Shootout. I know that may be not politically correct, but if I wanted to make everybody happy, I'd sell cupcakes, ice cream, and cookies. All right, so give me Baylor. I still like Baylor to be able to win. I think they got, Blaine, can we go through Baylor's schedule real quick? Can we pull that up?
Yeah, I'm going to pull it up.
Pull it up real quick, because I'm trying to remember off the top of my head. I believe they have Oklahoma State at home.
They do.
Which is, that was kind of the teetering point for me.
Ready?
Let's roll through it. What
Go
they got
to
left.
Iowa State.
Do you think they beat Iowa State?
You got Oklahoma State at home.
Win.
Go play at West Virginia.
Win.
Kansas at home.
Win, but Kansas no
Go
joke.
to Texas Tech.
Win.
Go to Oklahoma.
Loss.
Go Kansas State at home.
Win.
TCU at home.
That's what it was.
And you
Win.
go play at the Texas Longhorns.
I think they beat Texas on the road in a tight game. You get Kansas State at home, who is sneaky with Adrian Martinez and Deuce Vaughn. I know they played bad and lost against Tulane. Willie Fritz has a way of sneaking up. It was somewhat of a trap game, I think, against Tulane. Look at who they played, but I got Oklahoma and Baylor.
Okay, well, I'll take Oklahoma -- 1, like you were saying, especially after that win last weekend over Nebraska, the fashion in which they won that game. Even though I think Kansas State could play them tight this weekend, then I'm going to go. I'm going to go with Texas.
Yes,
at 2.5,
sir.
just because of what I saw. Oklahoma State was my pick to win the conference preseason, but I don't think we can underestimate what a big loss Jim Knowles was on the defensive side.
Gave
of
up 44 to Central
going
Michigan.
To the Buckeyes. Gave up 44. Now, Central Michigan may be the best team in the MAC, but still, you give up 44 points. I believe that game was at home for Oklahoma State. I really like Baylor, too. What's impressive to me right now is the way that Texas played the second half of that game against Alabama. It's one thing to beat them in the first half, right? Whenever it's a home game and your reputation as a university, as a blue blood football program is on the line, and you have a good coach in Sark, and you bring Gary Patterson over. It's one thing to play them tight in the first half. But the second half, after your quarterback goes out, Hudson Carr steps in, the way they played the second half of that football game, and then even more importantly than that, to go the next week and take care of business against UTSA was very impressive to me. I think Steve Sarkisian has the program headed in the right direction. I don't know if they can win the conference this year, but I'll take them number 2 right now.
I have the same. So I have Oklahoma and Texas. And the thing about this with me was how long was Quinn Ewers out?
Okay.
All right. And so apparently he will be back for the Oklahoma game.
Really?
Yeah. So I'm pretty sure he's dressing next week versus West Virginia. So you got Oklahoma.
What's the injury again?
It's someone with his wrist.
So it's not a shoulder.
Shoulder or wrist. I'd have to go back and look. But I have gotten told he will be dressing out next couple of weeks. He will be back for Oklahoma. And Quinn Ewers back, the way he looked against Alabama, he looked different. He looked like the way everybody was talking, Quinn Ewers is supposed to look against a good Alabama defense. You got Oklahoma State on the road, which will probably be a shootout, which I will go for Steve Sarkisian offense and a shootout for Texas. And then, you got Baylor at home. You go to Kansas. There's a couple of games that you're scared about, but I feel like you have the defense, surprisingly.
Yeah, I know.
You have the defense at Texas to win you the games that you need to win when you face two good offenses. So I think they have one of the best, if not the best, realistically, defense. Brett Venables is good at Oklahoma. I don't think he has the personnel he wants in there right now. I don't really know if you can base that off a Nebraska team that I could probably go start for. But I still think Texas has a good chance with Quinn back to win this conference and make it to the playoff.
I don't think you guys are reaching on that. The Big 12, another one. The Big 12 and the Pac-12 is fascinating to me to watch how this plays out. Last one, but make sure before we do this, you like and subscribe to this video. Tell everybody about it. ACC. I think we all got Clemson, right? We all got Clemson as one, I'm guessing.
I do.
Yeah,
yes.
yeah. Number 2 for me, I went back and forth, and I changed my mind the minute I walked in here. I was going to go with Pitt, but Restrepo said he's going to be back for Miami. I know they didn't look great in the red zone against A&M. I think Gaddis and them will have to fix the play calling in that. You can't be running inside zone on 3rd and goal from 7, man. Like, unless there's one guy they're playing, a 1-6-4 defense, then I feel like they felt like they were just going to try and be conservative and not screw it up and win the game in the end. You can't play like that. But give me Miami. Give me Miami. I believe in Tyler Van Dyke that much. I believe this loss is going to motivate him because we're talking about in conference. At Texas A&M was not a conference loss. The biggest reason is because Pitt has to go to Miami and North Carolina. And while I like Pitt up front, I think Slovis is a good player. He's got to stay healthy. They play their guts out on defense. They're a very turnover opportune team on defense. Narduzzi's a defensive guy. But Miami, you get Pitt at home. I'm going through the schedule right now. I was literally looking at it. You've got, if you're Miami, you got Middle Tennessee, then you're off. North Carolina at home. At Virginia Tech, a team that struggles to score, even though I hope they cover tonight. We'll see. Duke at home. At Virginia, who surprisingly struggled more than I thought, even though I knew the offensive line was going to be a disaster. Florida State at home. At Georgia Tech. At Clemson. That's the L. I had them going 8-1 in the conference. That was the one L. And then you get Pitt, the last game, Saturday, November 26th. At home, give me Mario. Give me the Cristobal. Give me Tyler. Give me the Van Dyke. Give me the defense.
How about you?
You got?
Well, Tyler Van Dyke actually took a jab at the Miami fans.
He's right.
I don't know if Miami fans, it's such a different place now.
What'd he say?
Well,
Miami's such a different place now. Do they even care about football down there?
Yeah,
what did he say?
He said that he likes playing on the road because the atmospheres are good. It's the truth. It's like at UCLA. Look at UCLA right now.
What's going on with Miami?
It's all about clubbing and beaching and bottles in the club.
Well, I will say,
football. How much y'all really care about football?
Here's their chance. You got a new on-campus stadium you're building. You need to be good the minute that thing opens because that's how you'll keep. Because look, Miami to me is one of those fan bases that when it's going good, they'll come from everywhere. Because there's Miami fans, the U, all that stuff. I think they're somewhat bandwagonish. They're somewhat bandwagonish.
They were top 10 last week, weren't they?
Yeah, but they played at Texas A&M. What did you expect?
I know, but still, you're still a top 10 football team. They weren't showing out at home when they played at home.
We'll see.
Well, who's your second team then?
Okay, no. Well, my first team's Clemson. My second team's NC State.
Okay.
Still believe.
Yeah, well, that defense is good.
They are the secondary.
Devin Leary, I still believe. The kid, it's not a fluke what Devin Leary did last year.
No.
The kid's a good quarterback. throws one of the prettiest balls in college football. But that defense is real. You played a somewhat good Texas Tech offense, gave up 14 points. You go to Clemson, obviously. You have Florida State at home. You go to Syracuse, which will be a battle. But my key was you got Wake Forest at home. Okay, you got Wake at home. I feel like this will be a super close game. So I would go NC State just because they've proven on defense and they do have a legitimate quarterback.
I'm going the same way. I had NC State winning the conference. They've underperformed so far, but you're still unbeaten. And like Blaine said, all the pieces are there. All the pieces are there. I think they can get this figured out. I almost switched my pick to Wake. I think what Sam Hartman's doing over there is incredible.
Yeah, I'm so glad
going to stick with NC State right now for the same reasons that you said, but they got to pick it up.
But yeah, Devin's got to start looking better.
Pick up the pace. Definitely. Well, tell us in the comments, who are the 2 teams from each conference that you think are the best right now? We're going to revisit this in week 8 because we'll be 2/3 of the way through. We're going to do this thing in thirds, I believe. Yes, that's the right way to put it. Sorry, I'm not a mathematician, especially when you put science in it. But make sure you like and subscribe to the video. Check us out every weekday morning live, 7:30 to 9 a.m. Eastern. Come join the Booster Club. Make some bets. Let's have some fun. Enjoy your weekend. Enjoy the football watching.